By James Van Straten, all times ET unless indicated otherwise. Bitcoin, BTC, continues to defy global economic uncertainty, inching closer to reclaiming $86,000. It is now less than 3% away from its Liberation Day high. To put the move into perspective, Bitcoin dominance, which measures BTC's share of the total cryptocurrency market cap, is approaching 64%, a level not seen since January 2021. In contrast, the Nasdaq 100 is still 5% away from its own Liberation Day high, underscoring Bitcoin's relative strength versus US equities. According to X-account Cheddar Flow, the S&P 500 has just formed a death cross, a traditionally bearish signal that occurs when the 50-day moving average falls below the 200-day moving average. The last time this happened was March 15, 2022, when S&P 500 initially rose by 11% in the following week, only to be followed by a 20% decline. Bearish sentiment is also reflected in the options market, where investors are reportedly buying large volumes of NVDA puts, signaling expectations of lower prices. In a Bloomberg interview on Monday, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent reaffirmed confidence in the U.S. bond market, dismissing concerns that foreign nations are dumping treasuries. "I am not seeing a dumping of U.S. treasuries," Bessent said. "The Treasury has lots of tools, but we're a long way from needing them." He also emphasized the enduring status of the US dollar as the world's reserve currency, despite the DXY index, which measures the dollar's value against a basket of major trading partners, falling below 100 and dropping over 10% in recent weeks. Bessent also confirmed that the Trump administration is seeking a new Federal Reserve chair to replace Jerome Powell, with interviews set to begin later in the year. He concluded the interview by suggesting that the VIX, S&P 500 volatility index, may have peaked after the largest one-day percentage drop in its history last week. Stay alert. What to watch? Crypto, April 15th, the first smart DEX, SDEX, halving means the SDEX token's distribution will be cut by 50% for the next 12 months. April 16th, Hash Keychain, HSK, mainnet upgrade enhances network stability and fee control capabilities. April 17th, EigenLayer, Eigen, activates slashing on Ethereum mainnet, enforcing penalties for operator misconduct. April 18th, Pepecoin, PEP, a Layer 1, proof-of-work blockchain, undergoes its second halving, reducing block rewards to 15,625 PEP per block. April 20th 11 p.m. BNB Chain, BNB, OPBNB mainnet hard fork. April 21st, Coinbase Derivatives will list XRP futures pending approval by the Commodity Futures Trading Commission, CFTC. Macro, April 15th, 8:30 a.m. Statistics Canada releases March consumer price inflation data. Core inflation rate MOM previous 0.7%. Core inflation rate YoY previous 2.7%. Inflation rate MOM Est, 0.6% versus previous 1.1%. Inflation rate YoY Est, 2.6% versus previous 2.6%. April 16th, 8:30 a.m., the U.S. Census Bureau releases March retail sales data. Retail sales MOM Est, 1.4% versus previous 0.2%. Retail sales YoY previous 3.1%. April 16th, 9:45 a.m., Bank of Canada releases its latest interest rate decision, followed by a press conference 45 minutes later. Policy interest rate Est, 2.75% versus previous 2.75%. April 16th, 1:30 p.m., Fed Chair Jerome H. Powell will deliver an Economic Outlook speech. Live stream link, April 17th, 8:30 a.m., U.S. Census Bureau releases March new residential construction data. Housing starts Est, 1.42 m versus previous 1.501 m. Housing starts MOM previous 11.2%. April 17th, 8:30 a.m., the U.S. Department of Labor releases unemployment insurance data for the week ended April 12th. Initial jobless claims Est, 226k versus previous 223k. April 17th, 7:30 p.m., Japan's Ministry of Internal Affairs and Communications releases March Consumer Price Index, CPI, data. Core inflation rate YoY Est, 3.2% versus previous 3%. Inflation rate MOM previous, minus 0.1%. Inflation rate YoY previous 3.7%. Earnings, estimates based on FactSet data, April 22nd, Tesla, TSLA, post-market. April 30th, Robinhood Markets, Hood, post-market. Token events, governance votes and calls. Venus DAO is discussing the forced liquidation of the remaining debt owed by a BNB bridge exploiter account that supplied extraneously minted BNB to Venus and generated an over-collateralized debt position. RV DAO is discussing taking further steps to deprecate Synthetics' SUSD on RVV3 optimism over technical developments that have compromised its ability to consistently maintain its peg. GMX DAO is discussing the establishment of a GMX reserve on Solana, which would involve bridging $500,000 in GMX to the blockchain and transferring the funds to the GMX Solana treasury. Treasure DAO is discussing handing the core contributor team the authority to wind down and close Treasure chain infrastructure on Zk Sync and manage the primary Magic ETH protocol-owned liquidity pool given the crucial financial situation of the protocol. April 15, 10 a.m. Injective to hold an X Spaces session with Guardian. April 16, 7 a.m. Aergo to host an Ask Me Anything, ARMA, session on the future of decentralized artificial intelligence and the project. April 16, 3 p.m. Zcash to host a town hall on lockbox distribution and governance. Unlocks. April 15, Say, to unlock 1.09% of its circulating supply worth $10.08 million. April 16, Arbitrum, ARB, to unlock 2.01% of its circulating supply worth $27.17 million. April 18, Official Trump, to unlock 20.25% of its circulating supply worth $325.97 million. April 18, Fastoken, FTN, to unlock 4.65% of its circulating supply worth $82.60 million. April 18, UXLINK, to unlock 11.09% of its circulating supply worth $18.29 million. April 18, Immutable, IMX, to unlock 1.37% of its circulating supply worth $10.07 million. Token launches. April 15, Wallet Connect Token, WCT, to be listed on Binance, BitJ, AscendEX, BingX, BYDFI, LBank, CoinList and others. April 16, Badger, Balichnie, BAL, Beta Finance, Beta, Cortex, CTXC, Cream Finance, Cream, Firo, FIRO, Carver Lend, Carver, NULS, Prosper, Pros, Status, SNT, Troy, Unilend Finance, UFT, VIDT DAO, VIDT, and ALF, to be delisted from Binance. April 22, Hyperlane to airdrop its Hyper tokens. Market movements. BTC is up 1.19% from 4 p.m. Eastern Time Monday at $85,877.18, 24 hours, plus 1.35%. ETH is up 0.59% at $1,645.30, 24 hours, minus 1.97%. CoinDesk 20 is up 0.99% at $2,519.69, 24 hours, plus 0.19%. Ether CESR composite staking rate is up 18 bits per second at 3.18%. BTC funding rate is at 0.0184%, 6.7003% annualized, on Binance. DXY is unchanged at 99.70. Gold is up 1.26% at $3,245.30 per ounce. Silver is up 0.81% at $32.35 per ounce. Nikkei 225 closed plus 0.84% at 34,267.54. Hang Seng closed plus 0.23% at 21,466.27. FTSE is up 0.92% at 8,209.04. Euro Stoxx 50 is up 0.82% at 4,951.51. DJIA closed on Tuesday plus 0.78% at 40,524.79. S&P 500 closed plus 0.79% at 5,405.97. Nasdaq closed plus 0.64% at 16,831.48. S&P TSX Composite Index closed plus 1.18% at 23,866.50. S&P 40 Latin America closed plus 1.8% at 2,340.02. US 10-year Treasury rate is up 1 BP at 4.39%. E-mini S&P 500 futures are up 0.12% at 5,447.25. E-mini Nasdaq 100 futures are up 0.26% at 18,983.25. E-mini Dow Jones Industrial Average Index futures are unchanged at 40,750.00. On Monday, the Bitcoin Cash Bitcoin (BCH, BTC) ratio failed to penetrate the trendline characterizing the 12-month bear market. A potential move above the trendline could see breakout traders join the market, lifting BCH higher. Crypto equities strategy (MSTR) closed on Monday at $311.45, plus 3.82%, up 0.62% at $313.38 in pre-market. Coinbase Global (Coin) closed at $176.58, plus 0.62%, up 1.28% at $178.84. Galaxy Digital Holdings (GLXY) closed at $15.81, plus 3.47%. Mara Holdings (Mara) closed at $12.95, plus 3.52%, up 1.24% at $13.11. Riot Platforms (Riot) closed at $7.01, minus 0.71%, up 0.71% at $7.06. Core Scientific (CORZ) closed at $7.06, minus 0.14%. CleanSpark (CLSK) closed at $7.78, plus 3.73%, up 1.29% at $7.88. CoinShares Valkyrie Bitcoin Miners ETF (WGMI) closed at $12.70, plus 1.44%, up 1.44% at $12.90. Semler Scientific (SMLR) closed at $34.26, plus 1.48%. Exodus Movement (EXOD) closed at $39.43, minus 10.55%, unchanged in pre-market. ETF flows. Spot BTC ETFs, daily net flow, $1.5 million. Cumulative net flows, $35.46 billion. Total BTC holdings approximately 1.11 million. Spot ETH ETFs, daily net flow, $6 million. Cumulative net flows, $2.28 billion. Total ETH holdings approximately 3.36 million. While you were sleeping, Xi Jinping urges Vietnam to oppose Donald Trump's tariff bullying. Financial Times. In Hanoi, Xi urged Vietnam to unite against protectionism as they signed 45 cooperation deals. His tour continues to Malaysia and Cambodia. Japanese bonds stir unease as Bitcoin recovers from last week's tariff panic. CoinDesk, the 30-year Japanese bond yield hit a 20-year high, raising fears of capital repatriation by Japanese funds and renewed risk aversion across financial markets. Dogecoin slumps 3%, Bitcoin steady around $85,000 as traders fear US recession. CoinDesk, Doge fell 3% while BTC and ETH held steady as tariff concerns eased, though betting markets still see a 40% to 60% chance of a US recession this year. DEX Kilo EX loses $7 million in apparent Oracle manipulation attack. CoinDesk, the decentralized exchange suspended operations after a price Oracle exploit. The attacker used Tornado Cash to fund a wallet and manipulate prices across Base, BNB Chain and Tyco. Russia says it is not easy to agree Ukraine peace deal with US. Reuters, Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov reiterated Moscow's demand that Ukraine renounce NATO ambitions and pull out of 4 regions claimed by Russia. Trump's trade war deepens threat to US brands in China. The Wall Street Journal, US brands like Apple, Nike and Starbucks are losing ground in China as patriotic consumers shift toward domestic alternatives in sectors ranging from tech to fast food.